Hey everybody, welcome to eTrailer.com. I'm Bobby, and today we're taking a look at our Hollywood destination 4-bike rack carrier here on our 2020 Acura MDX. Now guys, this can be a nice little way of giving yourself a nice little platform rack to get you and a couple of bikes to that trailhead or wherever you might be going. Now right out of the gate, I will say it looks a little busy. I think the destination just kind of suffers. It's got a little bit of a little clunkiness to it, a lot of things happening. However, once you actually give it a little bit of time and start seeing how well it actually holds on your bike, I think you're going to become a bigger fan just like I have. So you are getting 3 points of contact on your bike. You're going to have 2 wheel holders here holding down your wheels onto that platform. And of course, you are going to be having your middle mast element here that's going to go ahead and allow you to clamp onto your bike. So one thing that's awesome about this bike rack, it's very, very versatile. So you are going to have this center mast here. This is going to have 360 degrees of revolution. That's going to go ahead and make sure you're going to have no trouble getting onto any of your frame elements. So if you're like us here today, you have a diagonal frame, going to have no trouble, horizontal, or of course vertical if you're needing it. What's awesome about that, as we said, you can get a host of different bikes on here. So it could be great for taking the family out, or kind of a rotating cast of friends can be awesome for. And speaking of that versatility as well, it does have a little bit of adjustment here down at these cradles, which is kind of nice. So you have these guys that can be transposed. All you got to do, simply back off that knob, insert it in here, and that can be nice for your smaller bikes. So you are kind of set at your max closer to that cradle there, as you guys can imagine. But if you need to bring in those as well, that can be great for your smaller bikes to get on there. Now talking about that cradle itself, you guys can see we have that 18C standard groove right in there, widening out to about 3 inches or so. I'm gonna go ahead and grab my tape measure really quick here, guys, just so we can go ahead and make sure that we have a good time getting our dimensions later. But one thing that's awesome about that cradle, as you guys can see, you do have that nice kind of ridge going into the middle. So it kind of goes both off to the side here, but you still have that middle element where that bike wants to roll into. And with all of those holds on our bike, we're going to have no trouble. And yeah, so it looks like it's about 3 3/4 of an inch for at max width on the cradle. So not going to be awesome for your fat tire bikes. And keep in mind too, you're not having too much length here on that strip. So that's about the max strip I would really kind of trust myself with. And you can see it's not that huge. Now it's definitely longer than some, but not going to be the greatest length out there. Now it does have that nice little rubber pad right there to make sure you're not damaging your tire rims as it's sitting on there. And I really do like these little eye holes at the side. Makes it really easy to throw a finger in and pull down, especially if it's cold or wet outside. It's just kind of a pain to have to deal with. And one thing I really love pointing out about Hollywood destination here is you do have these little reflectors right in the end. Just nice to let people know exactly where we are when we are getting home. So whether we be on that long road trip and we're driving, or maybe it's dusk and we're coming home late at night, nice that we can go ahead and be sure of the knowledge that people behind us know where we are so we don't have any accidents. Now it is going to be able to carry 35 pounds of capacity per bike, which means you should have no trouble at all getting most of your standard and even into those mountain bike range of bikes. Now one thing I will say though, you are having frame contact here on that center mast, so it is going to be probably a no-go on your carbon frame bikes. Now you do have a lot of securance here on your tires, but still any kind of frame contact can end up warping and deteriorating those bikes. So if you want to keep them in good working order, highly recommend something like a front tire hold kind of system. Now those are generally going to be more expensive, but you do have a nicer bike, so let's make sure we are taking care of it. Well, to get the bike off doesn't take any time at all. To do so, I'm just going to come right back up to these back strips. Pressing in on those gray levers is going to go ahead and let me release those strips. And I can just set them through off to the side behind it. Repeating the process on the other side. And then that brings me to my last hold here on our bike. So what I like to do, I like to take my offhand here, kind of go around, and I just pull the bike to me here. That way I can use that mast to keep it in position, and then I can push that lever. Just makes it really easy to get that out of there, and that way I'm not fighting it the entire time. So I can go ahead and let that strip hang, and then I can just simply grab my bike, lift it up, walk it away, and already we're ready to ride. So it doesn't take too much time in mounting it. Just as easy. The only thing to look out for, the strips sometimes like to kind of get in the way. But once you get your bike set on here, it's really easy just to pull them out and then run them through your tires. That way, we can go ahead and make sure they're nice and secure. Now, unfortunately for the destination, it doesn't have a way to tilt away. I'll say that's probably the only, or the big con, I will say, of this guy. So if you're comparing this to other platform racks, that, in my opinion, is its one little failing. Even though you are getting a nice sturdy platform, which is kind of nice about it. So even with 4 bikes up on here, you're going to have that nice stable platform rack for yourself. But we do have a way of accessing our cargo still. To do so, we are going to have to drop this center mass. And to do that, I'm just going to come right up to this little hand knob. Lefty loosey's going to go ahead, expose a little thread for me. That's going to let me take that lever bar out, and then I can go ahead and just bring my mast in like so. Kind of get those pet cradles out of the way. And what I like to do, guys, is just take this extra strip right here, and then I just take it around inside here and just do one of these little guys. And what that does, keeps that mast from popping up. That's going to be excellent when we actually go ahead and go to fold this guy. But for now, as you guys can see, I can come up to my Acura here. I can go ahead, hit that. And as you guys can see, going to be able to open up here. Now I can get inside and get my coolers, bike helmets, anything I might need. You actually even have a little room here to sit down and change your shoes. The carrier itself can be great for that. So nice that you get that whole access to the back of your vehicle. You're not losing that just because we have our hitch accessory on. So that's awesome for ourselves. And of course, got ample clearage to go ahead and get out of the way. Now, one thing we want to keep in mind, we are adding a little bit of length to our vehicle here today with the destination. Now, the Acura is not the longest vehicle out there, but still adding quite a lot here with a 4 bike rack carrier. So from the very back of our bumper here to the very end of my carrier is going to be putting us right at 40 3/4 of an inch there, guys. So quite a lot of space to consider. Maybe we're going to pull this in the garage, or maybe we just need a little bit more maneuverability when we're going to park this guy at our destination. So, of course, we are going to need all of our bikes off to this maneuver. But as you guys can see right here in the middle, we have this normally has a little retaining clip. Looks like it might have fallen off somewhere, so our apologies on that. There will be a little retaining clip here as well, guys. Just a nice little added security feature. Now, I don't think it's needed because you can see it is threaded. And all I have to do, simply back off this knob like so. Going to reach a point where I can just simply slot it out like that. And I am going to bring this up with that safety cable letting that knob hang, but we're not going to go quite all the way. There is going to be an alignment you need to find, and that's easy to do just by walking down, finding it like so, and reinserting our knob, and then hand tightening. So one thing I like about this knob too, it is quite large. It's not like it's tiny and hard to use. You get a pretty good grip on it, and even if your hand was wet or soggy, however those elements might be where you guys are at, I think we'll have a decent time actually grabbing onto this and actually getting it nice and secure. And as you guys can see, it is very secure in this position. There's a little bit of rock, but nothing that I think we're going to feel or hear, and it's definitely not going to be excessive at all. So I like how secure it is when it is in this position. Well, as you guys can see, we shortened down a lot of our length there. Now, we are going to need to get our clearance, so remind me to go way back here in a second. I did forget to get that for us, guys. But so we can see exactly how much space we've shaved down now. Looks like we're about even to our wings at about 14 3/4 inches. So already about 30 inches being shaved down there, guys. I do like to see that. That means we can go ahead and definitely pull this in the garage, or at least, like we said, get that maneuverability for when we need to park it. Well, let me go ahead and back this off really quick. I forgot to give us our clearance here, guys. So let's go ahead and check that out together. Now that I've got it back in position, one thing we definitely need to watch for is going to be our clearance. So as those front wheels go up, the back will go down, and so will your hitch mounted accessory. So from our wings here today, from the ground to the very end of our wings, is going to be putting us right at about 19 1/2 inches there, guys. So I think that's plenty of clearance. You can see I have a nice little rise here in the platform itself. However, if you do find yourself approaching some very steep terrain, I would just be conscious that you do have a bike rack on the back of your vehicle. And if you are doing a little off-roading in the Acura, of course, be careful. With 19 inches, though, or so, I think we're going to be sitting quite pretty. I don't think it's something we have to worry about. Well, moving our way to the inside here, you guys can see we do have our 2-inch shank here today, allowing us to utilize our 2-inch hitch. And that is also being secured by our threaded anti-rattle hitch bolt here. So those guys are very standard across the industry. You still love to see them. As I go to give this guy a shake, you guys are going to see how little play there actually is. So as I shake this, you can see it's actually shaking the entirety of the vehicle as well. That means we're all in line with one system, taking all that play out so there's no shake or rattle, making for a nicer, smoother ride for ourselves, our bike rack, and especially our bikes. On the end of that as well, you are seeing a little locking core there. That's going to be great to make sure that our carrier stays attached to our hitch when we leave it unattended. Now that does bring up one more little caveat for the destination. Unfortunately, no innate cable lock or security feature for our bikes. So highly recommend taking a look at eTrailer.com, finding something that can go ahead and make sure that your bike stays attached to your carrier when you leave it unattended. Maybe you're at a gas station, especially if you find yourself on those longer rides. Now, of course, if you're just jetting right up to the trailhead, don't find yourself stopping too much. Might not be the biggest issue, but it's always nice to be safer rather than sorry, right? Well, guys, I think the destination is a great little way, again, of getting you 4 bikes to that trailhead wherever you're going. What's nice about it, you're not breaking the bank to get a nice, stable platform-style carrier. Now, it is missing a lot of those features that you might see on more of those premium carriers. If you do want to go ahead and just have all your bikes loaded up, still have access to your hats, there are a lot of great options out there. The Quad Envy is like way at the top of the line. However, you can start looking at stuff like the Yakima Holdup. There's a ton of different bike racks out there, of course. However, this is going to be great for yourself if you just want to start getting you and your family or your friends to your destination. Well, guys, I think that about does it for our look at the Hydrax Destination 4 Bike Rack Carrier here on our 2020 Acura MDX. I'm Bobby. Thank you for watching.
Now we're going to go ahead and take it on our test course. First, we'll start with the Slaloms. This is going to show the side-to-side action. It's kind of going to mimic the movements that you'll see whenever you're driving down the road normally. Now we'll have the alternating speed bumps. This is going to be more so like the uneven roads and some of that uneven terrain you might be traveling on, and see how it holds up.